And we continue at 1:06 in the afternoon. Talk Radio 790 KABC, the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wangs across the glass.
John, we get a lot of requests for the drops that we cut on this show to be sent to our listeners as MP3s at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. Jim writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. Hey, Randy, can you send me those 2 new drops in Vallejo? Why, yes, I can. Of course, we've got...
Somebody robbed our school.
And...
What are some of your concerns?
Crime.
We're off to a good start in 2025.
For a minute there, I thought we'd have nothing in January, but January's been very fruitful. In fact, we have 14 drops in January.
Today being the last day of the month, should we review?
We're going to review them, and this is going to be in alphabetical order. Cecily made an appearance.
Failed.
This, I believe, is John Garamendi going off on Ricardo Lara.
Get off your butt and do your job.
Get off my lawn.
This one says Ham House.
Oh, the customers get upset because the ham goes bad. Well, the clients that I talk to says I'd rather lose the ham than lose the house.
That was the fire lawyer guy.
Oh, yeah.
It's a bummer.
That one was just a bummer.
That's a damn shame.
Oakland.
My daughter has asked me, why do those girls dress like that? Aren't they not cold?
Oh, about the prostitutes.
In Oakland.
Oh, boy, San Francisco.
That one's self-explanatory.
We're old. We're cold.
That's the old people in the North Bay that PG&E is jacking up their rates so much they can't afford to turn the heat on.
Hey, baby boy, we got to get out of here.
That was a caller, Ruth, I think her name was, and she was calling in talking about rebuilding and the fire devastation, and out of nowhere, she pulls an Oakland on us.
Hey, baby boy, we got to get out of here.
Then, of course, we have our newest edition that I'm not super comfortable about.
It just made me feel real sick to my stomach.
Oh, don't worry about him. He's not going to know that you turned him into a drop. He's at the Mensa meeting.
I'm not sure the SIP neighborhood anymore.
That one's about San Francisco. No, that one's about Santa Monica.
I'm not sure the SIP neighborhood anymore.
And then we've got Vallejo.
What are some of your concerns?
Crime.
Vallejo.
We are what we would like to call a lawless city.
And Vallejo.
Somebody robbed our school.
Yeah, we're off to a bang-up start. All right. So we know that politicians are all trying to jump on the fire bandwagon and prove to the people of California that they're fighting for you, especially politicians who are termed out and looking for other offices, including State Senator Scott Wiener, who wants to appear to be Mr. Consumer Friendly. And he says he's looking out for fire victims, and he wants fire victims to be allowed to sue the oil companies.
Scott Wiener held a press conference earlier this week announcing his new legislation, SB 222, that would give fire victims the ability to sue big oil. It would also give insurance companies the ability to sue big oil when they have big payouts, and would have the FAIR Plan do a study to find out if they should also sue big oil.
Okay. It must be stated that at no point has any fire agency determined that any of these fires were started by big oil.
That doesn't matter anymore, John. Doesn't even matter that one of these fires might very well have been started by SoCal Edison.
And what about if some of them are started by the homeless encampments that the state is responsible for clearing out?
Oh, I'd like to sue Newsom over that.
I'd like to sue Scott Wiener.
For more on Scott Wiener's latest legislation, here is KCR3 and the incredible Ashley Zavala.
Now some California lawmakers want the oil industry to pay for natural disasters. This is all in response to those wildfires.
KCRA 3 Capitol correspondent Ashley Zavala explains the new push and how the oil industry is reacting.
How do you pick which oil company to sue?
You know what this is like? This would be as if Scott Wiener said, you know, healthcare costs in California, they're through the roof. So why not go after Little Debbie? Because people are in bad shape. They weigh too much. Their health is a mess. Let's just go ahead and sue Little Debbie.
Hey, don't give this guy any ideas. He'll do it.
This proposal specifically would...
When you've been in the legislature that long, you start getting real creative with what bills you want to get passed.
And he's in his last term. He is a lame duck.
This proposal...
And it doesn't look like Nancy's retiring anytime soon.
Nope.
This proposal specifically would allow the victims of natural disasters in California and private insurance companies to sue the oil companies that are operating in California for their impact on the environment. State Senator Scott Wiener.
How can you prove liability for that?
You can't. Because let's just say you think that global warming was impacted by emissions. How could you say that one oil company is responsible for X percent of the emissions? And different countries use different types of energy. In China, they use coal. In China, they use different types of oil. In India, they use different types of oil. So you're going to sue Chevron over this?
Apparently, we can only sue the companies that operate in the state. It's interesting, though. Gavin Newsom plays out of this same playbook. Whenever he's going on one of his annual special sessions where he says big oil is screwing you, he'll go into this long diatribe about Paradise and Grizzly Flats and all these destructive wildfires and blame big oil for them when we know the campfire that destroyed Paradise was caused by PG&E, his buddies.
How is this even remotely close to being legal?
You could ask that about so many California laws.
State Senator Scott Wiener unveiled this measure with supporters at the state capitol. Those supporters included consumer protections groups and environmental groups. They
found like 3 random people that were like, yeah, this is a great idea.
Oh, yeah, all probably trial attorneys.
And they were like, you don't understand. It was dry in January. That's not supposed to happen. We had a fire in January. How does that happen?
There are a lot of people with way too much time on their hands.
They unveiled this bill, which will be known as Senate Bill 222. The measure would also allow those who are on the California Fair Plan, which is the state insurance program for those who can't get private insurance, to also recoup damages in court from the oil industry.
Let's just say that this passes all the legal muster and people can start taking private rights of actions and suing the oil companies for damages they incurred in a wildfire or any other natural disaster. What do you think happens to the price of oil in this state?
Well, what kind of complete and total idiot do you have to be to wake up in the morning and say, you know what this state needs? More frivolous lawsuits.
It's not clear logistically how this would work yet. As of Monday afternoon, we were still waiting to see.
What do you put? Defendant, big oil.
Oh, yeah. Which company? Well, there's a Texaco on my block.
It's not clear logistically how this would work yet. As of Monday afternoon, we were still waiting to see the details of this bill in writing. Senator Wiener acknowledged this will be a tough bill to get through the legislature, but he says it's time for big oil to pay their fair share.
This was time for Scott Wiener to get some TV time.
You know, sometimes your name is your destiny.
The fossil fuel industry has endless resources. Profits continue to just spiral and spiral into the stratosphere. And then we are left holding the bag in terms of paying for these disasters. And people who lose their homes or their businesses are left holding the bag.
Did you just use holding the bag twice?
He did.
And so SB 222 will allow or will ensure that the fossil fuel industry is part of the solution.
This happened in January.
I can't believe this, but if he runs for Congress against Nancy Pelosi's daughter, we're going to have to get behind Nancy Pelosi's daughter, who is the Melissa Rivers of the Democratic Party.
We love everybody.
This happened in January. In January, yes, in January, we experienced the costliest extreme wildfire disaster that has ever occurred.
So what's the point? If this was October, it's not Big Oil's fault?
Who was that?
That was one of the people that Scott Wiener had to come to the podium. I think he's one of these environmental groups.
Did he just bring pizza for the homeless and just let them talk?
Very possible.
This is not normal. Conditions were exacerbated by extremely dry and unusually warm weather. That's not...
You know, this is a desert, right? It's dry and warm all the time, including January.
How is it that we're the biggest state in the union? We're essentially the size of Japan, and we're run by these people.
Scott Wiener has been consistently elected into office. San Francisco, San Jose, this is on you.
That's not happened historically or supposed to happen in January.
In a statement, the leader...
It was dry in January. It didn't rain in January. This is a desert. This is what looks like a thriving city on top of a desert with artificial water.
This makes sense to them.
In a statement, the leader of the Western States Petroleum Association said, in part, it is a shame that Senator Scott Wiener and Senator Sasha Renee Perez see the Los Angeles fires as nothing more than a political opportunity. We need real solutions to help victims in the wake of this tragedy, not theatrics. Voters are tired of this approach.
But that's what Sacramento is. It's performative politics that mean nothing. This will there's no way this would pass. But still, we got to get a whole bunch of people on a podium to talk about how great Scott Wiener is.
Here is something to keep in mind. The people who run the government are concerned with making sure that you can sue Chevron, and there wasn't any water in the fire hydrants. There wasn't any water in the reservoir. They texted all the wrong people and told them to evacuate. They cut the fire department's budget. They don't do any controlled burns. Anything that they have any degree of control over, they have no interest in. But if they can suddenly create an opportunity for every ambulance chaser in the state to go after the oil companies to get a little TV time, they're willing to do that.
We also caught up with Republican State Senator Roger Niello, who is also the vice chair of the Senate's Insurance Committee, for his thoughts.
This furthers the narrative, the false narrative, that this is all about climate change. It is, of course, much more complicated than that. I would ask, what about forest management, both rural forests as well as those that are proximate to urban areas?
How about we destroy all the chaparral? It's my new policy. I'm going to start a political action committee. Burn down all the chaparral. Don't let it grow back.
Go wild.
Like Palisades, which our majority party has consistently underfunded. I'd also ask, what about the fire department in Los Angeles, whose budget was significantly cut last year?
Yeah, Karen Bass, you're not going to live down that one.
No. And what she did was essentially just lie and say, well, I didn't cut their budget.
Do those issues have anything to do with the conflagration that we've seen in Southern California?
How about we let all of our crooked utility companies build flimsy power poles in a place that we know is windy?
And they don't shut down the homeless encampments when they know they pose a fire risk.
What's the percentage of fires in L.A. County every day that are started by the homeless, John?
Well, it was 50. That's the number that we use. But someone said that they heard a more expansive explanation of that from the fire chief, and it's actually over 50.
Oh, my.
I think so. So will Senator Wiener and Perez include in their bill the ability to sue those entities for their role in this, too?
Oh, how about that? Yeah, we will allow you, if you can prove liability, you can sue Chevron. But also, if you could prove liability, you can sue SoCal Edison. Or if it's the homeless, you can sue Karen Bass.
Why not? They have more liability than Chevron.
So this bill now awaits for its first hearing in the state Senate. State Senator Scott Wiener said he did not talk to the governor beforehand about this proposal, which is typical at this point in the legislative process. Reporting at the state capitol, Ashley Zavala, KTRA 3 News.
There's the latest on Scott Wiener's great idea to make sure we never have a wildfire again. Sue the oil companies.
He didn't talk to Newsom because even he knows this has 0% chance of passing.
Performative politics at its best. That's what Sacramento does.
If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, now that we're approaching the halfway mark of today's show, if you want to continue listening to us after we sign off at 3 or all weekend long, that's easy to do.
Let's say you want to catch up on what's been going on in Oakland the last 2 years.
I said, hell no, baby boy. Let me get up on out of here.
Just go to KABC.com, click on podcasts.
It's wild, wild west out here.
Go to the Apple Podcast app, iHeart, Spotify, search for The John Phillips Show, hit subscribe. You can download all the episodes.
It's a lot of crime now.
You do a Google on the YouTuber, get that handy-dandy KABC app.
Oh, my God. They melted the basketball court.
Search KABC AM in the Apple App Store or the Android Store.
It's over. It's totally over.
Search for the John Phillips Show wherever you go and download all the podcasts.
Who else are we going to call Superman?
And a week from today, we're going to Orange County.
How exciting is this? Come see Johnny and I broadcast live from noon to 3 on Friday the 7th at Rove, Santa Ana. Rove, Santa Ana is a full-service EV charging station with 40 ultra-fast EV chargers, a 24/7 lounge with restrooms and free Wi-Fi, a car wash, and a premium convenience store. Recharge by Gelson's. We're going to have free samples from vendors and barbecuing going on, so come hungry as we broadcast live. Can't wait to see all y'all. Love to take some pictures, too. Rove and Recharge by Gelson's are located at 1008 East 17th Street in Santa Ana off the 5 at the corner of East 17th and Lincoln. We'll see you live a week from today, noon to 3.
In the meantime, what do you say we make a couple of listeners very happy?
790 KABC welcomes the Totally Tubular Festival with Right Said Fred, Men Without Hats, The Motels, and many more. All at the YouTube Theater on June 30th. Tickets are on sale Friday at Ticketmaster.com. But right now, caller number 9 at 1-888-790-5222 gets a pair of tickets to the show. Tickets furnished by Live Nation. Good luck dialing. You're going to have a fantastic time at this show. Right, Barbara Ferrer?
The evidence is like crystal clear on that.
Valley Girl Ferrer. The people of Duarte are all the way pissed off, and Ed Laskos is on the case.
And it's on, like Donkey Kong.
That's because residents of Duarte found out that their fair town was chosen by the EPA as the place where they want to stage all of the toxic debris from the fires in Altadena.
Oh, joy.
How would you love to be chosen for that?
They don't care.
It's like a toxic garage sale that'll never go away.
How crazy is that?
It's almost like Ed's in the room. For more on the public meeting that went off the rails, they brought in the best in the business, Ed Laskos.
Enough already. And what we had here tonight was a wild town hall meeting. The feds, the EPA here, trying to calm everybody down, trying to reassure everybody that staging area would be safe. It would be closely monitored. Air samples checked almost every hour. Still, though, the hundreds of neighbors showing up, they wanted no part of the hazardous materials coming into the area, and they want no part of the EPA. Watch.
Well, who can blame them?
Couldn't they go, I don't know, 20 miles further out to the desert where nobody lives? Do it in Yermo. Nobody's in Yermo.
Oh, but then they'd have to drive far.
To answer the
Distress in Duarte.
There's some alliteration for you.
Could you imagine working for the EPA? Every time you get on a plane and you go to a different town to do something, that's what you hear.
Distress in Duarte. They have heard enough.
Put it in your backyard. Put it in your backyard.
I'm very, very angry, disappointed, and sad. How can this be possible? That they still taking all this trash and dump it in our backyard? It is ridiculous.
Because you're worried about the hazardous.
Absolutely.
She likes Shang.
Let's see if I could do this. What would it have sounded like if Shang was at that meeting, too?
It is ridiculous.
Because you're worried about the hazardous.
Absolutely.
Emotions explode at this town hall meeting as EPA officials face the music.
This is an important point. This is
Tell God to the people in Pasadena.
the state of California has some of the most rigorous environmental protections.
Yep. How did that work out?
You know what she sounds like? In the 1980s, when you'd have a bad guy pro wrestler with the manager in the ring doing the introduction and the crowd would go ballistic and you couldn't even hear him, that's what it sounded like.
Woo!
They're here, and they're just spewing us a bunch of written statements, gave no answers. We are livid.
Livid to the point of even forcing the feds off the stage.
They got booed off the stage.
I'm sure it's not the first time, and it won't be the last.
Livid to the point of even forcing the feds off the stage. Members of the EPA getting up and leaving, seemingly for their own safety.
The EPA people left the stage in the middle of the meeting.
With the sheriffs making sure they're safe.
Going out the back door, backstage. So that means, in my opinion, that they know that they're wrong.
These residents are mad as hell, and they're not going to take it anymore.
Pitchforks and torches.
That, as the Performing Arts Center is packed, standing room only, and then some. It's the crush of controversy that follows the EP.
Crush of controversy. You're killing it, Ed. The thing is, they haven't given him anything that he can really have fun with in a while because it's been all fire news. This one he can have a little fun with.
Oh, you run the EPA out of town?
You bet it's frustrating. It's the crush of controversy that follows the EPA's urgent move to turn Laurel Park near the San Gabriel River into a massive staging area for hazardous materials and debris, all removed from the Eaton fire zone.
And, of course, no public input, just here's where we're doing it. Deal with it.
Oh, that's what they do. They figure we're the feds. We can do anything we want.
And then Hilda comes out after this disastrous meeting and is like, hey, I talked to the EPA. They promised they'll only transport this crap on the 210. They won't use city streets.
Like that's supposed to make them feel better.
Wow, that's amazing.
Answers that we're getting, they're just not acceptable. A lot of this has been shoved down our throats. Nobody was given any warning about this. Nobody was consulted.
And you see now there's figuring out where the staging zone's going to be for the Palisades one, and the EPA thought it'd be a great idea to put it on the beach where, it can wash into the ocean.
Or the homeless people can eat it.
And that brings a sharp reaction from the crowd and from this group of mayors from Azusa, Baldwin Park, Irwindale, and Duarte.
I think we've heard from the mayors that we're still opposing this site.
But, of course, do those local mayors get any say in this? No.
No. If the EPA wants to do it, the EPA just goes ahead and does it.
Now, that's pretty much the only cheers we heard all night long. The EPA coming out and actually admitting it could have done a much better job getting the information out first before everybody finds.
This is like Barbara Ferrer after COVID. It's not that I made any mistakes. My messaging wasn't good enough.
Yes, which means I'm unwilling to acknowledge that I screwed up big time.
No, thank you.
Getting the information out first before everybody finds out about it through the press. In the end, though, despite all the loud opposition, very vocal opposition, the EPA stressing Laurel Park will be the staging area. Hazardous material will be moving into that site. For now, we're live here at Duarte. Back to the west side we'll go.
There he is, the man, the myth, the legend, the best beat reporter there is in Los Angeles, Ed Lascos.
And it's on like Donkey Kong.
Well, thanks to the crime and all the negative publicity, the hotels in Oakland, California are dropping like flies.
We lost the Hilton just a few weeks ago. The Hilton on, of course, the Hagenburger.
Hagenburger.
When we went up there earlier this year and I went to Oakland to see the Angels play the A's, I don't know if you've ever reserved a hotel room in Oakland. It's a different and unique experience because they say, okay, what type of room do you want? What do you want to sleep in? Do you want 2 queen-size beds? Do you want a king-size bed or a great big pine box? That's what they ask you.
Now, John, have you looked at the schedule for this season? Will you be traveling to West Sacramento to see the Angels play the A's?
I just might, but the Angels play them in the middle of the week both times. So then I'd have to go up there during the week.
Not Sacramento, West Sacramento to a stadium with 3,000 seats.
Isn't that where Will Smith is from?
I think that's West Philadelphia, born and raised.
So the latest hotel to drop is the Oakland Hyatt Waterfront Hotel
in Jack London Square. If you can't make it there, you can't make it anywhere in Oakland.
I said, hell no, baby boy. Let me get up on out of here.
For yet another major business going out of business in Oakland. Here's Cron 4.
Facing a multitude of problems, from its budget woes to the closing of fire stations, there's now more trouble.
Oh, there's more than that.
They lost all the professional athletic teams.
Crime's out of control, and the person who kept saying crime is down got recalled.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Oh, we miss her already.
There's now more trouble with the major Jack London Square business shutting its doors in just 48 hours. Cron 4's Dan Kerman reports.
Isn't this supposed to be the nicer part of Oakland?
It is. There are great restaurants down there.
There were.
Oakland's Jack London Square is losing one of its major businesses. Hyatt has confirmed the Waterfront Hotel will close its doors for good on Friday evening.
We get a lot of the people that work at that hotel that come in here for lunch, and forever, because they work right across the lawn from us, they get discounts and everything. So we kind of created a family with them, and some of them came in today and gave me the news, and it was just so sad.
They found out this week they're going out of business?
No more hotel employees coming over. Bob Newhart's packing up.
Fernanda Laguna manages Mia Comida Casera, which sits right across from the Waterfront Hotel.
We've only been here a year, and so we were trying to fight to get it back, and without the hotel, I'm like, the foot traffic is going to be so slow.
Hyatt will not.
There are so many ripple effects to when a hotel like this goes out of business in what's supposed to be a tourist spot.
Yeah, because the people who come to town, who stay at the hotel, they're there to spend money. They're not just hanging out at the hotel. They're going to the restaurants. They're going to the bars. They're going to the sporting events. They're going to the movie theaters. And if you're not constantly bringing new people in, guess what? You don't eat.
Hyatt will not say why they're pulling out of the hotel, but they...
Oh, I can think of a couple guesses.
Is this really that big of a mystery?
It's wild, wild west out here.
Oh, my God. They melted the basketball court.
It's a lot of crime now.
Who else do we go call Superman?
You don't need Matlock to figure that out.
But they do say it's their understanding the property will no longer be operated as a hotel.
What are we going to turn it into, a homeless shelter?
Well, as soon as they shut the doors, whether it's officially a homeless shelter or not, that's what it's going to be.
I'll tell you right now, if Barbara Lee wins that special election, that'll be her idea, because her and Karen Bass are like this.
Quite frankly.
Perched on the water's edge.
By the way, is she even campaigning?
I think she believes that she's just going to waltz right into that office, and she just might.
Perched on the water's edge between Washington and Broadway, the waterfront's closure creates more difficulty for a retail promenade that at many hours of the day is virtually empty.
When I was growing up here as a kid, Jack London was the place to be. We had a lot of national chains, anchors, whether it's Fridays, El Torito's, the Spaghetti Factory, and now we are looking at really...
What is that, an airport?
It's the first time ever somebody has looked fondly on the proud, storied past of having a TGI Fridays.
Was there a Hudson's Books there, too?
Wait, El Torito. You could get that brunch on Sunday with the sweet corn cake.
Place to be. We had a lot of national chains, anchors, whether it's Fridays, El Torito's, the Spaghetti Factory, and now we are looking at really a shell of its...
Everyone says Oakland's known as a food city. Apparently it has changed from that.
Well, if you're bragging about the culinary offerings of TGI Fridays, my guess is you are Edward Snowden and you do live in the airport.
Anchors, whether it's Fridays, El Torito's, the Spaghetti...
Who in 2025 is like, you know what I really could use? Potato skins.
You know, there isn't a lot near Angel Stadium. You go there, it's not like San Francisco where the Giants play, where there's restaurants and bars everywhere. Wrigley Field is like that with the Cubs. There is nothing in Anaheim. There used to be the Catch, and there used to be a Hooters right there in the parking lot. And then there was like a sports bar on the other side of the freeway that primarily served the pond, but that's gone too. So now if you want to meet before the game for a meal, inevitably they say, let's go to the TGI Fridays at what used to be the Block and Orange. And I would just always say yes because it's easy to identify. There's plenty of parking. No one's ever going to get lost. But I just want to say, I hate it.
Not a fan?
No.
You know, I used to work at TGI Fridays.
Oh, did you?
I was a waiter for 6 months.
What happened? How'd you get fired?
I don't know if I should tell that story. Oh, I guess I could. Let's just say a young 20-year-old me was listening to way too much Tom Likas and was at the point in his life where he thought it would be a really good idea to put a blog post on my MySpace page rating how hot all the girls I worked with on a scale of 1 to 10.
Okay.
And I got fired.
No kidding.
But I was quitting that same week, so it worked out.
Okay. Well, you're never going to be on the Supreme Court.
If it wasn't for radio, I'm pretty sure I'd be unemployable.
Anchors, whether it's Fridays, El Torito's, the Spaghetti Factory.
It's too bad. I was great at that job. For TGI Fridays, which, you know, in 2005, it's not like the prices were that astronomical. I was clearing $100 a night.
Were you very passionate about the product?
I was really good at upselling you to get the ultimate margarita, which is the one that looks like a giant fishbowl.
Isn't that nothing but sugar?
Yes. Now, I was under 21, and I went back to TGI Fridays on the night of my 21st birthday to try all those cocktails I had been selling that summer before. Blacked out the first night because they're all sugar.
That's no good.
It was a mess. I think I lasted at that table an hour. And they're not supposed to overserve you, but because they knew me, they let me.
Well, and all they serve there in terms of food is carbs.
Anchors, whether it's Fridays, El Torito's, the Spaghetti Factory, and now we are looking at really a shell of its former self.
Oakland mayoral candidate Lauren Taylor says the city must do more not only to bring in new businesses, but retain the businesses it already has.
That would be nice.
We have to have better concierge service for our businesses. We have to partner with other organizations and agencies to really recruit anchor businesses here so that they can set up shop and be that draw that supports local businesses, supports the overall sort of foot traffic and energy that we know Oakland could and should have.
And, of course, Barbara Lee did not want to comment on this story.
No. Because she thinks she's going to win, so she's going to say nothing controversial.
Taylor says businesses considering closing, like the Waterfront Hotel, must know they have a direct line to City Hall before taking that action. Crown 4 reached out to Taylor's primary opponent in the mayoral race, former Congresswoman Barbara Lee, but did not hear back. In terms of what's next In terms of what's next for this property, Crown 4 reached out to representatives of the property owner to find out. We didn't hear back. In Oakland,
it's going to be an empty shell, another vacant building that inevitably will be housing for the homeless, whether they know it or not.
Will the homeless be eating at the TGI Fridays?
It's gone. You got to remember, the TGI Fridays used to be there. They moved out.
Well, if you want TGI Fridays, DFW.
I think I'd prefer Chili's to go.
Salt Lake, SLC.